So for my senior research project, I tested the theory that environmental enrichment lowers delay discounting in rats. Delay discounting is the decline in value of a reward with additional delays, better understood through the common translation of impulsivity. So basically where one prefers a smaller sooner reward as opposed to a larger later one. There are studies that have suggested that environmental enrichment has potential to lower impulsivity in rats. So basically I took that and I ran with it. Similar studies have been conducted to test decreasing impulsivity regarding situations such as eating disorders and drug addictions. This potential decrease could translate into human society through gaining reinforcement from healthier resources in the form of friends, family, or material objects, which would be our enrichment, as opposed to the unhealthy resources such as, say, overeating, undereating, or consuming drugs. So the subjects used in this study were 8 male Sprague-Dawley rats, and the materials were 4 operating conditioning chambers consisting of 2 levers on either side and a food dispenser in the middle. The enrichment I used were cardboard tubes or empty toilet paper rolls, chew sticks, and paper towels. I used an ABA design in my study, and all 8 rats were tested to collect baseline data without enrichment, deciding between 1 immediate food pellet or 4 delayed pellets, with a delay ranging from 0 to 64 seconds. Now these rats were previously used in other delay discounting experiments, so they had some sort of experience with this, and so it didn't take very long for them to reach stability. Once stability was reached, each cage received the enrichment as trial continued on as normal, and then there was a return to baseline to test the lasting influence that the enrichment might have had. The study lasted about 5 weeks. I used a 2-way repeated ANOVA to test my data, and there was no significant difference found between preference for smaller reward and larger reward, neither during nor after administration of enrichment. As you can see on the right, the area below the curve was calculated and graphed. This basically means that each individual rat had their own line graph of decisions made per trial, and that line graph was calculated to determine any major differences. It's clear that each subject involved did not experience any huge differences when it came to their decisions, and there are only 6 bars as opposed to 8 because 2 subjects were exempt due to lack of displaying delay discounting. So in the end, our results were not significant enough to support the theory that environmental enrichment decreases delay discounting. If anything, the data supports that enrichment does little to nothing to affect impulsivity. Some limitations encountered were a lack of both subjects and time. Running more rats for a longer period of time may have potential to produce significant results in some way or another. But the largest limitation encountered had to do with the enrichment. It's difficult to maintain seemingly temporary enrichment in cages of rats whose natural instinct is to shred. So there were complications in ensuring that there was a constant presence of enrichment, which is something essential to this study. So my thoughts for future research would include utilizing a more dependable distribution of environmental enrichment, essentially doubling the duration of the study, and potentially introducing a new element of a different kind of enrichment, such as cohort living as an example. And these are my references I used in this PowerPoint. Thank you for listening.